We're here again at the 2011 Jackson County Cotton Production Meeting. With us today is Clyde Smith, a regional IPM agent, who's going to talk to us about cotton variety selection.
Well, Doug, you know, cotton season's coming up. People need to make decisions, and there are a lot of varieties out there that we can choose from. We have traditionally, in the last 10 years, planted Delta Pine 555, which was a bold guard cotton. Now that variety is gone because of a various number of reasons. But we do have to select some varieties that are going to replace that in our production scheme, and we got a lot of options. But when a producer's making choices, they need to start thinking about what kind of insect control do they need. They need to think about what kind of weed control they need, and then whether or not they're going to have irrigated ground or dry land ground. And so those are the kind of issues that you have to deal with in choosing your cottons. On the insecticides, we basically have two inserted genes that we can deal with: wide stripe, which is available through Phytogen seeds, and it is a 2-gene insecticide cotton to control caterpillar pests. We also have Bold Guard 2 now that has replaced the original Bold Guard, and it's good for caterpillar pests, and it's available in Delta Pine varieties as well as Stoneville varieties and some Liberty Link varieties as well. So there's a lot of different options for an insecticide program out there. If a producer was looking for what we normally term a conventional cotton that didn't have anything selected, inserted into it for insect control, they would have to contact the seed company and get them to basically grow some seed for them so that they could plant them. So right now, most every variety that's out there either has a herbicide gene inserted or an insecticide gene or both. From the herbicide standpoint, we're dealing a lot in our area in the southeast, here in North Florida, southwestern Georgia, and southern Alabama with palmer amaranth. It's become a tremendous weed problem, and so we're looking at options, and our traditional programs of Roundup are not necessarily going to be the best things anymore. So producers are going to have to look at combining some conventional original herbicides or some of the older technology of herbicides that have residual activity along with Roundup, or there is the option as well as using the Roundup Ready Flex and using a new one called Liberty Link, which has the ability to have Ignite, which is a different type of herbicide put over the top of it. Now this Ignite is a very good chemical. It is not something that's going to be a silver bullet that people are going to be able to say, well, I can just use Ignite and be done with my weed control program. It's not quite as effective on some of the things as Roundup used to be, so it's a manager's product. We heard Jay Farrell talk about that today, that it's a manager's product. You need to combine residual herbicides with that herbicide. You can also use Ignite in Phytogen cotton, which has a wide stripe gene, and it has some tolerance to Ignite, but not to the level of the Liberty Link cotton. So there's some good options there. It needs to be put out early to control small weeds, and then move on to some other type of herbicide in the program because it's not going to be able to stand that. Moving past that, looking at whether or not you're going to grow dry land or irrigated, the issue becomes what kind of yields can you get. You need to look at some of the variety trials. We've conducted them here in Jackson County. They also conduct them in Georgia and southwest Georgia. We use Bainbridge numbers for that. And William Birdsong up in Alabama conducts variety trials along with the state agronomist and Brandon Dillard, another agent, to look at varieties in southeastern Alabama. So if you look at all those numbers together and pick out some that perform in dry land or irrigated pretty consistently, you know, sometimes they're not going to win everything, but you want them to end up in the top of the pack, then you can start looking at some varieties that are going to suit your production. We do have some very good varieties. They're excellent. They have good yield potential, out-yielding probably the old 555 Delta Pine, but you need to pick out which ones you want, and nowadays it's going to be a dry land field is going to have a specific set of seed varieties that are available, and the irrigated fields are going to have another set of varieties, and we've got a few varieties that can cross over between those two. So right now we've got a lot of options, but growers need to sit down and really think about where they're headed with their program, what they want, and then start choosing varieties based on that. And they need to go ahead and make that decision pretty quick because with the increase in cotton acreage this year, seeds are going to be short.
Well, thank you, Clyde. I'm Doug Mayo from the Jackson County Extension Office, coming to you today from the 2011 Cotton Production Meeting.